The rest of the actors are coming. They're just stuck in traffic, and they'll join us. But I'm glad of this because I wanted to talk to Luca a little bit before we got the actors here.
In privacy.
In privacy, that's right. Luca, why the environment, the house, Crema, is so instrumental. It's like another character in this movie. Why the original book is said in the Italian Riviera. Why did you shift it to Crema?
Thank you for the question. It's very strange because I do love Andres Asiman book very much, and I dearly appreciated when I read it in the first place many years ago. But the moment in which I became possessed by the idea of making this movie is when I conjured to put together the book and the world of the book with this place where I live, which is Crema, and this house that I had visited a few years before and kept recurring in my mind. And one day I felt like, oh, maybe this family, the Perlmans, could live there. And when that was, in a way, an epiphany to me, it is when I became very motivated to proceed in making this film as my film as a director, along with the idea of working with these amazing people that are going to join us soon, hopefully.
And no, well, some of them are here already. The light. It is so pivotal in the film. We talked briefly outside that the windows, the outside light, the inside and the outside of this world. Can you talk to us about how you were able to combine light with character?
The idea for me is always to try to be in the place and to make sure that the figures are part of the landscape, whether it's a sort of urban landscape or an architectural landscape or a natural landscape. The Pianura Padana, where we set this film, which is unlikely any other places in Italy because it's very flat and it's very, in a way, repetitive with this motif of flatlands and high trees and little canals of water, comes to me in my imagination of a place of idyllic place where the light is very kind, very gentle, where an open window is like a big eye that communicates the interior to the exterior and vice versa. So I think me and my DP, Sayon Bumuk Diprom, we thought about that, and we tried to repeat that on the screen to try to give this kind of physical sensation of being there to an audience.
Timothy, tell us about, you work really hard for this role. You actually learned to, you play guitar, you had to get piano lessons, you actually had to learn another language, you actually had to learn Italian.
Yeah, and everything you just said, that's exactly why I leapt at the opportunity, because roles like these for young actors, they don't really ever happen. This is a role that's complex and contradictory and flowering, and they just seem like a beautiful mixture of a mess of emotions. And usually you're the son or the brother or the antagonist or whatever. So, and there's also the opportunity to work with Luca. Michael, I'd seen in a play when I was 11 years old called The Pillow Man by Martin McDonough. And Army, for, actors my age with The Social Network and a number of other movies, he's a major influence. So this was a no-brainer. And
Army, Luca and I were talking earlier that so much of this film is, it's wordless. There's a lot of acting that is done without dialogue. Was that, how did you feel about working on a character like that?
It's a little bit of a daunting kind of thing because there's no distractions. There's no special effects. There's no creatures. There's no green screen. There's nothing to distract from the fact that the only thing that propels this story forward is the emotional lives between all these characters, and whether it's said or unsaid, whatever goes on and how that affects people. It's really kind of the biggest challenge as an actor that you can kind of take. And it's kind of a scary thing unless you have someone like Luca there guiding you through the whole thing.
And, you know, when also earlier we talked about the slow burn, and this is actually to the three of you. There's a slow burn, there's a slow reveal to this movie. And what was it like as actors to work on subtlety and, like, you know, revealing things, this sort of cat and mouse very slowly?
That has a lot to do with Luca, honestly. We were in the practice of doing things, and it was his fine sense of the story he wanted to tell, the way he wanted to tell it, which allowed our DP, Soyambu Muktipram's camera to linger. And I think the original cut was quite long, and he pared away, and things that were extraneous until we're left with those beautiful long shots of them riding bikes, or a lingering image of water, or that gorgeous shot of the sort of dirt road that's kind of rambling, and that's all part of his vision of wanting of this story and telling this story. So I don't know how much we had to do with the luxuriating, except that the place itself provides a kind of intoxicating feeling while being there.
Your performance, that last scene with you and the son, can you tell us about that scene, and how did it come about on your side, performing that wonderful scene?
We had the benefit of shooting this film mostly in chronological order. So I had a number of weeks to sit and watch them be so brave and dive into this gorgeous material. And the more we got to know each other, the deeper our respect grew for each other, and we had a great time. And then this was almost at the very end of the shoot for me. And after living with those beautiful sentiments for as long as I was able to, on the day, we were both ready to be there, I think, very much so, and to do what you saw.
There is, and going back to you, Luca, there is a spectacular scene, which is a single take that takes place in the plaza, in the monument, where the characters reveal to one another, but they're separated by the monument. And you know, can you talk about that scene?
I'm happy about that, to talk about it, because it's, in a way, that sequence encompasses in a very precise way how much I think that filmmaking is a profound collaborative effort, layered in time. We start with a great scene written by Jim Ivory. It's a 6-page scene. We then find this very perfect location where you can see this layers of history in Italy, from the very ancient stones of the castle to the most modern little cafeterias and bar, and this is also a place in which you have this monument to the victims of the World War II, that in a way, because it was all young kids dead in a war, it's a sort of doppelganger of this generation who's trying to sort out from their adolescence in the movie. Then we have Army, who comes to me and say, because he sees me lost with these 6 pages of dialogue, and I don't know what to do with it, and I suggest, why don't you do it in one take? And then we start a dance around the monument with bikes and feet, and we start to organize the space around this seduction and this pulling in and pulling out of these two characters. And finally we shoot, then we go into the post-production process, and with my editor we start to put moments of music. When Oliver is not there, we have the Ravel Ma Mère Loire, and every time he comes back from the bar around the monument, in the shop, the music disappears. And then we gaze around the place between the two boys, the monument, the sky. It was a very long process to get the scene done at the end, but I'm very proud of that scene because of that.
I mean, I usually, I teach film studies, and I always talk about in class about a metaphor, that one moment in the movie where it explains to you the whole gamut of the relationship, and I thought that scene totally captured the, as you mentioned, seduction. They're coming together, coming apart, and ultimately, Army, would you like to? Why did you feel that scene needed to be one take?
I probably just wanted to get out of there faster.
No.
It felt like a scene from a play. It felt like a much longer scene than you normally get, and I just, we were all standing around talking about it. We were all discussing how it was going to go down, and it just felt like it just needed to play out. It just all, and thankfully Luca, took my little tiny kernel of a suggestion and turned it into, the beautiful choreographed dance that you see now.